Hello, family, friends, and fans. I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and this is the Five and Dime Track by Track. It's part of the overall series called Fletcher Rhoden Track by Track, where I go through all my albums track by track. Okay. This one is my Christian album. It's a compilation of the best songs and recordings from between 2005 and 2010. Best of 2005 to 2010. That's why I call it the Five and Dime. It's mostly Christian pop, but there's a lot of secular in there too. I think maybe it's half and half. I was a progressive Christian, I still am. So, you know, there's a lot of secularity in my work as in my life. And that's the way I like it. I think a good life is a balance of religiosity and secularity. So my music reflects that. This song is called One Body, One Spirit. And like a lot of my Christian pop, it is inspired by the Bible. It's, for me, Christian pop isn't all Jesus light the way. I mean, it's Jesus does light the way, and that's great. But I wrote from what inspired me, and that was the Bible, stories in the Bible, Jawbone Hill, This Much I Know. That all is sourced from the Bible. So that's what I enjoyed writing about when I was writing about such things. Not always. That's where I want to be when the Christ comes isn't exactly biblical, but it is Christian, and it's sort of a love song turned on its ear. But this song, One Body, One Spirit, is inspired by St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. It's verse 12, I think. And it's the one that goes, if the ear should say, because I'm not the eye, am I not of the body? Is it therefore not of the body? If the foot should say, because I'm not the hand, I am not of the body. Is it not of the body? It speaks to people being contented with their place in life as long as they are contributing toward the greater good. Not everybody can be the eye, because without the ear, where would be the hearing? Not every part can be the hand. Without the foot, where is the walking? Everybody, the verse goes on to say that God put the parts of the body where it pleased him, and that we should just be glad that we're in the body at all. And that we all don't have to have the fashion spot. We don't all have to be the star. It's enough just to do your part. We all have to do our part. No matter how insignificant it may seem to us, there is significance in the overall. So this is a well quoted verse, a chapter, I should say, and it was used. Deadwood used it to good effect. It's just great writing. Paul is one of the great religious writers. He is, I believe, one of the most quoted religious writers, as opposed to, say, David, who was a religious figure who was a writer, but he wasn't writing about religion. He wasn't a historian. He wasn't giving any analysis. David's writing is poetry. Jesus was not a writer at all. He was a great speaker and one of the most widely quoted men in history, but he didn't write these things down. He spoke in parables. He didn't even say them straight, much less write them down. Josephus was a great historian, a great religious historian. But I would say Paul is the first and perhaps greatest theological writer, because he writes about theology and he's not creating it, he's observing it. So he has my favorite line in the Bible, which is, and now these three things abide: hope, faith, and love, these three. And of these, the greatest is love. I misquoted that. It's, and now three things abide: hope, faith, and love. And of these, the greatest is love. So St. Paul really knew his stuff. Really good religious writer. To this day, remains one of the great religious writers. So I nicked his bit. I thought it'd make a good pop song. It's not my ideas, but like a lot of these songs, it's inspired by the Bible. And again, it's not just me saying, Jesus, hold my hand. It's me reflecting on the biblical scripture, which is important. I don't appreciate it when people are Christians and they don't read the Bible, or a person calls himself a practicing Jew without reading the Bible. They can say, well, I studied it, but that's not the same as reading it. Studying it is reading what someone else who did bother to read it had to say about it. So if you didn't read the original document, you're just parroting other people's opinions without really having one, without really earning it, without having the right to an opinion. You can't have an opinion about a book you've never read. So, but I wasn't one of those types. I went in full bore and I read the Bible all the way through, and then I kept it close and I reread parts of it several times. I even studied. I even studied. I taught a Bible study course in my church. So my stuff is very biblical, and this song, "One Body, One Spirit," is very biblical. It's practically co-written by St. Paul. So check it out. There's a link below. Excuse me. There's a link below. Tune in again. Until then, bye, Mary.